know her. I've been like last week. I'm like, I don't know her. Okay, we're rolling. Okay, hi.
Hi.
I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Me too.
Before we start, I just have to say, your podcast, yours and Chris's podcast, I found so much safety in that podcast because I think if there's one thing every woman in this world can agree with is that we have felt some sort of way about turning 30 or being 30 or entering our 30s, you know?
Yes.
Regardless of the feelings that are attributed to that, everybody's going to have different ones, but there is something there that we all feel listening to your podcast for years and now reading your book. One of my favorite things about it is like this permission that you and Krista give to women of ignoring the arbitrary bench or like timelines that society has set for us and just building a life that you love regardless.
Yes.
And I feel like we need so much more of that, you know? So I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Me too. I'm so excited.
There's so much I want to get into, but I want to start with talking about the Saturn return because I feel like it's such a main topic of the book. And I also feel like it's something that people hear about, but maybe not everybody fully understands. Talk to me a little bit about what it is and what happens when we're going through it.
Yeah. And remind me how old you are.
31.
Okay, 31. Okay, cool. So you're probably on the other side of your Saturn return, if not like just about ending it.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Hopefully.
So it's really, really interesting. And to be candid, we didn't learn about our Saturn return or what's happening neurologically in our brains during this late 20s period until we were like
After.
kind of like deeply in it, almost through with it. But once we found out, we were like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. So astrologically speaking, around the time depends on your chart, say 28 or so, Saturn, the 28, 29, Saturn, the planet comes back to the place it was in the sky when you were born. So it's in one place when you're born. It comes all the way back around about, 28 years later, 29 years later. And this is significant because the planet Saturn is kind of like your cosmic dad. He comes into the room and he's like, listen, I love you. You've been doing decently well. And I want to be really honest with you about what's working in your life and what's not, what's aligned and what's not. And I'm going to make it really obvious. And it might be a little uncomfortable. It might be a little painful. You might have to let some people go, or you might have to leave a place or make decisions that feel just like it's uprooting your life. But I promise you that on the other side of it, you will meet more of who you really are. You will feel happier. You will feel more on purpose. But it's definitely an initiation of sorts. This happens and it'll bring up, it'll call the relationship into question that you're in. You might make a big move. I made a move across the country from New York to LA during that time. You might lose someone in your life. You might get married. You might get a divorce. Like there's usually a big life event, one or two, that really kind of thrusts you into this period. And it usually lasts 2.5, 3 years.
I was going to ask you that.
Depends on your chart.
Yeah.
So you have to look at your chart. I'm not an astrologer, so I'm not an expert in that sense. But you can look at the houses that it affects, the different planets that are kind of moving and transiting during this period. There are periods of respite during your Saturn return. So there might be periods of intensity, then you'll have a little break, integration, I like to call it. And then you'll have maybe another period of intensity, another period of rest and integration. So it's not like full throttle for 3 years.
Right.
But it is definitely a process. I would say an initiation of becoming an adult in the truest sense, like really becoming more of who you are. At the same time, last thing is that neurologically speaking, around 25, 26, our prefrontal cortex is coming online. So I'm sure you know this. It's like widely known now that this is the part of your brain responsible for decision making and long-term planning and emotional regulation. And it finally clicks. Before this, we're like totally led by and controlled by our emotions. And I'm sure everyone listening can think back to times in their early 20s, late teens when you make a really hasty decision based on your emotional reaction to it. So normal. But when your prefrontal cortex comes online, then you start to think about situations and it's a bit more grounded, a bit more, how do I want to feel in 5 years? Like who do I really want to be with and why does that matter? And what is important to me and what are my values? And, You don't let your emotions necessarily control every part of your life. So it's a really interesting thing, the astrological aspects of this time and the neurological that are happening. And it's a cocktail for sure.
What were some of the biggest, I know you talk about this in the book, but what were like a few of the biggest breakthroughs for you during your Saturn return?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think one of the biggest ones was self-worth. And it's kind of a corny, like very general thing to
No,
say, but
not
I
at
think
all.
more specifically like within relationships. So, um, just to give context, I was in a relationship for almost 4 years with my high school or with my college sweetheart. I thought he was going to be the one that I was going to marry. And, I really saw a life together. And, if anyone listening has had like a relationship with someone from college, I'm sure you can attest whether you're with them still or not, you both changed immensely since that time. And so as I began to change, as he began to change or not change at all, we just grew apart.
Yeah.
I ended up, not acting in the most mature way. I ended up cheating on him, and it just kind of blew up my world because I thought this was the person I was going to marry, and then I betray him. It was this whole thing. What I realized in the wake of that was that there were aspects to that relationship, and then in the dating, situationship relationships that I was in, that I wasn't really valuing myself. How I wanted to feel about myself as far as my worth goes was not lining up with who I was choosing. The people I was choosing had no time for me, would text me at like 10 p.m., see what I was doing, wouldn't prioritize me, wouldn't just show interest in who I was, getting to know me. It was like it just felt very transactional,
Yeah.
felt very surface. I had to get very serious about like, okay, like, where is this coming from? It's
Yeah.
not I'm the common denominator
Right.
in all of these moments and
Why am
all
I
of these
accepting this?
relationships. Yeah, why am I accepting this? And so, I mean, I went deep in therapy and, various modalities like ayahuasca and breath work
Okay,
and
wait.
all
Can
the
we talk about
things.
ayahuasca? Because
Yes.
I want to try it so bad.
Okay, so you
What I
you are
don't
from
want.
a place that this has become incredibly popular because I did it in Costa Rica,
Oh, you
actually.
did.
Yes,
So I don't want to throw up in front of people.
totally.
You know? That's
So
the part that I'm like, can everyone close their eyes while I'm doing that?
yeah, it's intense. I mean, it can happen in 100 different settings. Krista and I went to Rhythmia, which is a place in Costa Rica, a retreat center, and I think overall they do it incredibly well. It's very supportive. They have integration, they have education, they have a great team. What I thought was intense was I was in a room with 70 other people.
70.
70. It was beautiful. It was very like
Yeah. Yeah.
ceremonial and felt very safe overall.
Yeah.
But 70 people having an experience on ayahuasca is so intense.
I can't even
Whether you're
imagine.
truly in the medicine or
I
not.
can't even imagine. But can you even like tell because you're so
Yes
engulfed?
and no.
Yeah.
Yes and
Yeah.
no.
You feel the energy, I'm
I
sure.
had a very gentle experience and I think that's what I needed.
Yeah.
I didn't purge and I on either end.
Right.
Lots of crying, lots of
Like
laughing,
releasing.
releasing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really beautiful, but I wouldn't say that yeah, I don't feel called to do it again,
I see.
you know?
Yeah.
But it was a beautiful experience. Some people, I think, with any of these, medicines or alternative ways to like
Heal.
heal and feel God,
Hmm.
sometimes I think people get addicted, to be
Yeah.
honest with you,
Yeah. I've heard
addicted
about
to the
that.
feeling,
Yeah.
because it is such at times, like it can be very euphoric. You can feel so close to spirit, to God, like, and so I can see how people can get very, attached to
They
that and
want
want to
more.
experience that more.
Yeah.
But yeah, mine was gentle and I don't feel called to do it again yet. Maybe I will.
I love the conversation of worthiness because that also for me was such a pillar in my 20s.
Hmm.
It's almost like, you know how they say we accept the love we think we deserve? I had to ask myself, like, how can I make sure that I know that I deserve the world? What do I have to do? But it's so hard to define self-worth. Like, if you had to define it and put it tangibly, how would you?
I know. Yeah, I think when I think about it, because now I've kind of had this walk back to my own understanding and relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel that
More.
presence and that
Mm-hmm.
perspective of like how God sees me.
Yeah.
And it's, it is loving and accepting of who I am as a whole,
No matter what.
no matter what. Because if I've learned anything, it's that we are always evolving and changing. We are, I don't think, ever done quote unquote healing, but it's like that acceptance of and love and respect of all parts of us.
Yep.
You know, the wounded parts, the parts that, you know, seemingly are integrated and healed, like all of it. And so when I was able to really get to that place, and it took me a while, I was single for like 7 years, and it was like, I remember the solo trip where I really felt it. I was in this Airstream in a small town in like middle of California, and I was out on the little deck attached to the Airstream, and like the sun was shining on my face. It was the morning. I had made some coffee, whatever. And I just was, I had tears streaming down my face. It was so dramatic. I remember taking a selfie because I was like, remember this, bitch.
I love
You
it.
better remember this. Because I just felt so deeply good with myself, like in such a deep way where I was like, I'm good if I don't find my person. Like, I'm really good. I swear. And I knew deep down I would be with someone, but
Yeah.
like it was just this feeling of like, oh my gosh, I'm good. Like, and I think that was like
It's a
the
switch.
switch for me. So when I did reconnect with my now husband, I was just, I carried myself differently. I walked into the room differently. I didn't need him to like, you know, be
Choose you.
obsessed with me or
Yeah.
choose me. Like, obviously, you know, it's like we need to choose each other,
Of
but
course.
it was just a different feeling rather
Yep.
than, oh my God, I hope he likes me. You know, it's like, no, I got me. I like me. I love me. And if he doesn't, like, then, like, what is for me will never miss me, and it's all good.
I just feel like this is the realest thing that I speak to women all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is such a universal experience that so many of us go through in our 20s of just truly just liking ourselves.
Yeah. What was your experience?
Oh my God, it was so rough. I like identify a lot with Krista and what she talks about her relationship with food because
Yeah.
for me it was very, I don't know. I honestly I don't know. I mean, I do know where it went wrong, but no one told me that I wasn't worthy. I told myself.
Sure.
So through different messaging, I think in my early 20s, I hyperfixated on food and my body.
Mm-hmm.
In therapy, I learned that I was just looking for something to control because my dad got sick. It was super out of the blue. He was like such a protector. So losing him was horrible. And then shortly after that, my sister became mentally ill. So it was just a lot, you know?
A lot.
It was a lot. My way of handling it, because I did kind of feel like I was like the emotional
Sure.
caretaker for the people that were in my family. So my caretaker was things I could control. So I didn't even know it at the time, but I was hyper focusing on food, working out, etc. And at the beginning, it was great. You know, I was like so fit and so healthy and everything, but I was like the unhealthiest healthy person you would have ever seen. Nothing would go in my mouth if I didn't track it, if I didn't weigh it. 2 workouts a day, no rest days. Like it was bad. And then got a cute little eating disorder after that. So that was rough. And it took me years to heal that, which is still ongoing. My best friend is here, and we were just talking about that, how, you know, how the terms they use is kind of like in AA. They're like, you're in recovery. Like I really will be, I think, in recovery from that for a long time. Hopefully one day I can say like I fully have no negative feelings towards it, but I'm not there yet, which is fine. I focused so much on that, and I gave myself this messaging of, you aren't worthy because you don't look like X, Y, and Z, or you need to, you know, it's always, I also am a very like high achiever. My dad, I think, also raised me in a way to be like, it's like you have to be excellent and perfect. He was great. He was amazing. Dad, if you're listening, I love you so much. But he was very intense.
Yeah, of course.
And my sister was such a fuck up that he like expected so much of me, you know? So I took that to heart, and I still just so self-critical. I'm a Capricorn. I'm a double Capricorn. Like my big 3 is Capricorn, Scorpio.
Woo.
Like I'm not okay.
Love it.
Not okay.
You're amazing.
So
I love that trait.
I think for me, it's, again, like sadly, no one gave me this messaging. I gave it to myself, which I think is harder because every day I have to convince myself, like, you deserve to take up space. You deserve to, you know, be in a loving relationship. You deserve, it's like all these things that I'm still working through. So the self-worth conversation for me has been
it's huge.
just unlearning that for whatever reason, I thought worth came from certain things, from tangible things. And so I had to understand, like, that's there no matter what.
Yeah.
It doesn't change based on your gene size. Doesn't change based on how much you ate today. Doesn't change if you worked out. Like, it's always going to be there.
Yes.
So, but that's like the constant in my brain.
Yeah. Krista has a quote that she often references, and I don't know the originator of the quote, but it's wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's so true. I think we can look outside of ourselves for why we are the way we are. And sure, like some of that can help us make sense of it, whether it's how we were raised or an experience we had. And all of that is so valid.
Yeah.
And, there's so much I think we give too much power to those things
For
over
sure.
time, where we forget that we can absolutely take back our own power, our own sense of self in this moment. It doesn't mean it's easy. It doesn't mean it's not a process or an everyday reminder and practice.
Yeah.
It is in our hands. I have a lot of friends even now who still sit and complain about like how their mom raised them. And I'm like, totally, I get it.
But what are you
And
going to do with
what are
it?
we going to do?
Yeah, you have the autonomy. Yeah.
And our parents were doing the best they could with what they knew, if we're honest.
Well, it's like, did you have a moment where you realized your parents were not superhuman?
Yeah.
And you were like, oh my God, you're literally just a normal person.
I still have
trying to
those
figure it out.
moments where I'm
Same.
like, woo, okay.
Sometimes my mom does things and I'm like boiling, glitching inside. And then I'm like, it's her first time on earth.
Yeah. And first time doing this, first time having a daughter at this age.
Exactly.
And, it's like 100%.
Yeah. But I love that messaging of you can complain to a certain extent and you can blame it on certain things to a certain extent. There's justification there.
Yeah.
You're allowed to feel however you feel, but also it's like, okay, what are we going to do with that? Going back really quick to the Saturn return, if somebody's listening right now and let's say they're in the thick of it and they're listening and they had no idea about this and they're like, what the fuck do I do? What do you say to them?
Yeah, if you're just on the logistical side, if you're thinking you're in your Saturn return, we actually have a calculator on our website. I think it's like mysaturnreturn.com.
I want to see if I'm out of mine.
Yeah, I want to look after we wrap, see where you are in it. But you can basically see when it started, the breaks and the intensity, and when it ends. So that'll be really good for you to understand and know.
Yeah.
Where the light at the end of the tunnel is. But if you are in the thick of it, I think one of the most profound realizations I had during my Saturn return, and something that just made my life feel so much more fun and like an adventure, was the fact that I'm not doing this alone. And so you don't have to believe in what I believe in, and you can have an absolutely unique perspective on a source that is greater than you. It could be universe, it could be God, it could be something else. But when I really leaned into that and understood that and started to actually connect with that part of me, because it's a part of all of us.
Yeah.
We in the book call it the soul, and call it your higher self. But honestly, I started having so much more fun during these intense seasons of change. I understood that like I was collaborating with a part of me that already knew, that was so wise, that had just so much insight into my life and into my future. And so when I started to connect with my soul and just understand that I had guides and I have angels and I have my ancestors that I can really, really communicate with and ask for support.
Like you're not alone.
I just felt like I didn't have to bear the weight of it all. I know for someone listening, if this feels very foreign to you, it could also sound like, ugh, like that's not me, or I can't do that because I'm not spiritual or I'm not psychic. No. I recently had a friend who's a psychic medium, and she said, I've read for thousands of people. There has never been one person that she's read who hasn't had a team around them.
Wow. Yeah.
Like she's never had crickets. Like,
I mean, we came from somewhere, right?
Like, there's always ancestors and angels and guides. And so I say that because it doesn't have to look like 8 hours of meditation in a day. It could be a moment on the street where you close your eyes and take a deep breath and just have the intention of connecting with your higher self today. Just lead me today. Like, I would love to be led by you. That's it. That is like all it takes. It doesn't have to be an elaborate thing, or you don't have to be at a certain level of psychic,
Mhm.
whatever,
Yeah.
you can do it in an instant. So I think when I realized that, I felt so much more powerful.
Mhm.
I felt so much more um free, to enjoy my life, to enjoy the unknown, to really lean in when it got hard instead of being like, I don't know if I can do this. No, I can do it. I have a team around me that is going to support me and guide me, and I'm going to have fun trying to,
Figuring it out.
figuring out the signs that they leave me
Yeah.
and the ways in which they like direct me to these relationships and opportunities.
I love that you just said signs because I feel like I try to find this, those memes that it's like, I don't know
Mhm.
about you, but I saw 11:11 on the microwave, so I'm
I'm
gonna have a
good.
great day. I like to believe in those things.
Mhm.
What are like little signs that you can remember maybe before meeting your husband or
Mhm.
signs that showed you that you were in alignment to something else that came after?
Well, I would always see 444, so I think that's a common angel number sign. But I think once I kind of brought that into my awareness, I would see it more, and so that became a sign that I think my guides and angels would use just as a sign of just confirmation.
Yeah,
So if I was anywhere, I'd usually see 444, and it was just like
you're good.
you're good.
Yeah,
You are where you're meant to be.
yeah. It's like little synchronicities. Hmm.
Exactly. My grandfather comes to me and my mom in a cardinal. And so I've just seen cardinals in the most random places, whether it's like an actual cardinal or, a fake little cardinal. So I always just see that as like a nod and a wink from him.
I love that.
I know Krista sees rainbows everywhere as her angel sign. So do you have one?
Well, I have dreams with my dad, but in
Love that.
very crazy fucking moments. Like
Yeah.
one year was his birthday, and I
Mm.
hadn't had a dream with him in a long time. My mom never dreams with him, ever.
Wow.
And I always tell her, I'm like, I think he doesn't do it to you because he knows it'll wreck you. Because whenever she does it, like,
Yeah,
it's a
of
lot for her,
course.
but I can take it. And one day, this was so wild. I will never forget it. I hadn't dreamt with him for a while. I had a horrible dream. And
Mm.
usually they're really good and happy. And he was very upset and he was talking to me about my sister. And I woke up that morning. I called my mom and I'm like, is everything okay? And she's like, your sister's in the hospital. And I was
Wow.
like, and she hadn't told me because like before she sometimes didn't want to tell me when things were rough because she didn't want to upset me. And I was like, how fucking dare you, first of all, not tell me? But second of all,
Wow.
she's like, how did you know? I was like, I literally had a dream with my, like, isn't that
Wow.
wild?
Communicating with you through dreams.
Wild.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's common.
Yeah.
I feel like my grandfather does that, and it'll usually just be that feeling of like,
Yep.
like I'm hugging him and I'm just like yearning
Yeah.
to like feel him again and just like hear his voice. I'm sure you feel
Dreams are
that.
crazy.
Yeah.
I want to talk to somebody that can like
Well,
explain
you
to
have
me
that
about.
Scorpio in your chart, girl. That'll bring you on a whole journey. My son has a Scorpio moon. Is it your moon or
Yeah, my
what?
moon,
Okay,
which
yeah.
is it's like who I am
Yeah,
inside. Yeah.
100%. It's
Yeah.
so intense, but
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. I feel everything too deeply. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, hard left. We can't not talk about turning 30 because
Mhm.
it's the heart of the book. And again, something that I think so many women can relate to. We know there's already societally, there's so much fear attached to turning 30, being 30, entering your 30s. How can we unlearn this and almost look at it as something that is so exciting rather than be terrified of it?
Mhm. Depending on our culture, where we grow up,
Yeah.
families, etc., we're just given these timelines that
Hmm.
we think we should follow. I thought I was going to be married by 27, have kids by the time I was 29,
Same,
30,
same.
live in a house, do this, whatever. And so when that wasn't shaping
Yeah.
out the way I had planned or shaping up the way I had planned, I was feeling like a failure. I
Yeah.
was so hard on myself, lots of judgment. And I think that really held me back from realizing my potential until a little bit later because I was just so wrapped up in what it should have been.
Like what wasn't happening.
Yeah. And I realized just in the work that I did over that period that I was living my life according to the shoulds of other people, society, my parents, teachers, schooling, yada, yada, social media.
Yep.
And I wasn't actually really tuning into what feels right to me and wasn't accepting the fact that what feels right today might change in
Yeah.
a year and not being flexible enough and accepting enough of my like very human nature, which is that I'm always changing. I would say to women, especially who are navigating this time, I think one of the greatest gifts that life gives us is that it's not going to happen according to the plan that our mind
I know.
designed.
Like we plan and God laughs
Yeah, truly.
all the
And
time.
the mind is so limited. No offense.
Yeah.
Like it's just so limited, everybody. So if we're able to, sometimes I'll just visualize like all the energy in my brain dropping down to my heart space and just like feeling, like actually feeling into like what would feel really good? What would feel like me? And sometimes it'll make me emotional, which I think is a good sign because
Yeah.
then I'm really like starting to embody and place myself there rather than just loop on it and be anxious about things and try to over plan. But if I've learned anything, it's that you can absolutely trust the timing of your life and that most likely it won't happen according to what you think it will be or should be. And that in trusting the unknown, especially the periods where you're like, I don't know what's next.
Yeah.
I honestly don't. Like, how could I ever find another person that was this, this, and this? Like, if you lean into that and really get into the practice of trusting when the next step is not clear,
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh, like your life is going to open up in the biggest way. Biggest way. What was happening for you around 30, like 29, 30?
I finally felt like myself at like 29, 30.
Mm-hmm.
I did feel a little bit of because I'm Hispanic,
Mhm.
so every day it's like, where are your kids?
Sure.
Where's your husband? You know? My mom has learned she doesn't push me on that as much. She like can't wait to be a
Yeah.
grandmother every single day of her life. She's like, please get pregnant.
Mhm.
Like, I don't even care. Just get pregnant. But that's definitely something that culturally I have
Sure.
to quiet.
Yeah.
But, here's the blessing of, I think, going through hardship is that for the most part, I have a lot of perspective. So I'm like, I have a new day.
Yeah.
Or there's so many things I still want to achieve. This person maybe achieved all these things that I want. Great. That's amazing for them. Like, that's not about me. Has nothing to do with me.
Mhm.
Aging is a gift. And I think that is truly what helped me turn 30 without freaking out, which is so sad that we even have to say that.
I know.
Because tell me, what man is stressed about turning 30? They don't give a
100%.
fuck.
Yeah, they get excited.
They get excited. It's like they literally don't care. Meanwhile, we're like, oh shit, like now everybody's going to look at us if we're not married, or if we don't have kids
I
yet, or
know.
if we don't own a home, whatever it is, whatever the list is. It's so unfair. But I think it's up to us we show people how to treat us. And also a lot of that is by how we are showing up and the way that we're talking about things. If we're like talking about it in a like shameful way,
Yes.
it's like
100%.
I just try to think about it as like, it hasn't happened yet for whatever reason. And sometimes that reason is not up to me to understand and decide. And also I feel like, there's things that I thought I wanted maybe at 25 or 26. And if I would have gotten them, I would have fucking lost them.
Exactly.
I would have blown it.
If I would have met my husband at 27, which actually I did, I met him at 25. I mean,
and then
if we would have gotten together then, oh, no. We would have not be together today at all.
That's the thing too. So sometimes when I have this conversation with friends, if they're like, I just feel like I'm behind, I feel like I'm late. I feel like whatever it is. And I'm like, well, do you want it because everyone else has it? Do you want it because you think you should have it? Or actually like think about it. If you had it right now, what would it look like? Like exactly what would it look like? Like paint me a full day in your life with this thing that you want so badly. And then very often they're like, yeah, fuck, I don't know if I'm ready for that yet.
Right.
Or I don't even know what it would look like yet.
Right.
So sometimes I don't even think we know why we want the things we want. We just think we're supposed to have them.
Well, I think now, in the age of social media, we see everyone's life.
That's the thing. I think comparison is the biggest.
Shoot,
yeah.
She got married. She had a kid. Am I behind? And so it's this constant loop of being a voyeur into other people's lives and then comparing our own life to their life. And we lose the plot on what is actually meant for us. And we lose the plot on focusing on our own path and what is needed to get to the vision that you have in your mind, or maybe something greater. But I think to your point of like, people really trying to visualize what it would be like if that thing did come in, if their person did come in, and then realizing, oh, I'm not ready for that. I feel like I was for so long being like, I want to find my person. I want to find my person. And there were just aspects of my day to day. There was aspects of how I talked to myself and that there was no room for
Mm-hmm.
someone to
Mm-hmm.
come in
Yeah.
to love me wholly and completely,
Yeah.
to, to make time for another person, to, just all of these things. Like, I wasn't actually making space.
Right.
So I think, we don't want to overthink it, but there's also that aspect to it where it's like, are you walking your talk?
Are you even ready for
Are
it?
you even ready for it? And it's okay if you're not.
So okay. It's even
Yeah.
better if you're not, because then you get to ask yourself, like, okay, how can I get ready then? What can I do? What are little things that I can do?
Yeah.
Because the more that I create more space for that, then it'll happen,
Right.
I feel like this conversation is also so aligned with career and work and purpose, which you guys talk so much about in the book. And I love how you talked about rediscovering joy. And I would love to talk to someone who is maybe feeling disconnected or stuck in career and work
Yeah.
and purpose. What are a few tangible ways that we can fall back in love with our life if we are feeling stuck?
Yeah, we talk to so many women, especially who are, in a job they've been in for a long time and they just have like lost their
Spark.
spark for it and just passion for it. Or women who have a vision for something else and they want to go off on their own and start something. And then others who are like, man, I have an amazing job. I just would love to kind of like recommit to it and connect to it
Yeah.
in a way that excites me. And I think all of those are, so common, so valid. I think for me, it was really important to get very honest about this idea of purpose, because we can hear the word purpose and then we get anxious because we're like, am I living my purpose?
It's like there's only one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one purpose,
It's just one.
sole purpose. And then
Yeah.
people get confused that it has to be your job.
100%.
And I just don't believe that.
Me either.
Sometimes it is.
Yeah.
I don't think that's as common, but sometimes it is. But if we can really get clear about, what is an aspect of, first of all, I think you have many purposes in your life,
Agreed.
but what is an aspect of who you really are that makes you feel incredibly embodied, confident, that makes you feel like you're in your heart and not in your head? What is that part of you? And maybe I feel like, motherhood for me is definitely a part of my purpose. And so being in that mother role has just opened up a part of me that I was like dying to meet and I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
And though it's really hard, I just feel like she is like has been always ready for that challenge. And it's a part of me that's always been very nurturing and been unafraid to kind of be in the mud,
Yeah.
of things,
Yeah.
like which I think motherhood is a lot of the time. So I just knowing that about myself, if I look back on my life, it makes perfect sense why motherhood feels like a purpose.
Mhm.
And so I just encourage people to get curious. They can look in their past, they can look at their present day and just feel into like, when am I most like lit up, myself in flow, in my heart, peaceful, like just,
And what if they don't have an answer to that?
it's okay. Yeah, that's okay. I think oftentimes if I hear people don't have an answer to that, I think we're really in our heads.
Yeah.
We're thinking too hard about, you know, what it should look like and, getting kind of confused as to what flow is versus productivity.
Like we're intellectualizing it too much.
Yeah.
One of my best friends, she always says to me, 'cause she thinks I'm too hard on myself, right? So she's always like, she's like a sergeant with me about it. She's like, if you could see yourself through my eyes, like you would love yourself all the time. And sometimes, and I ask her that question all the time. I'm like, how can we see ourselves through the eyes of the people who love us the most? And she always says, I think sometimes you have to let them tell you.
Yeah.
You have to ask
big
them
time.
and you have to let them tell you why they love you and why you're so great. Sometimes you can't trust you with information about you.
Yes, the mind is so powerful and will tell you a lie.
Right.
In the book, we talk about, asking people that you love and trust.
Yeah.
Ask 5 people that you love and trust.
Like, when do you see me the most lit up?
Yes. Like, when do you see me just like have that inner spark like about me that you're like, oh, wow, she's like, she's in it. She's on it. She's in flow. And also ask them like, what do you feel like I'm naturally good at? Or what do you feel like just like oozes from me without me even trying? And it'll just blow your mind what people say. And I think it's important to ask that often. and reflect it back to your friends as well, because I think it just takes repetition to really believe some of these things. The mind will always be like, no.
Oh my God.
No.
That's it. It's repetition.
Repetition. That's why mantras are so important. That's why journaling and meditation, it's sometimes annoying, but it works.
No, if I don't journal, I
Repetition.
journal every day of my life.
Wow.
And if I don't, my future's not looking bright.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a good day. Like, it's just, and sometimes I don't want to do it. Sometimes I sit there and I'm like, I have nothing to say and I don't want to be writing today, but here I am, because I know that especially on the days that I don't want to do it, that's when it's making the biggest change. It also made me so happy to hear you talk about motherhood, because I think I agree with you. I think we all have so many purposes. So many of them are not tied to the way we make money. And I think so many people get that wrong.
Yeah.
But I think one of my purposes is going to be a mother. I have no idea what that looks like, because I'm like, who's the baby daddy?
Yeah.
Like, can't even imagine that.
Totally.
But I'm like, that's so exciting. I don't know. Like, I know that's going to be a purpose.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know what it'll look like, but I have that feeling. Like, I also feel like I was put on earth to be a MILF.
Yes, 100%. You are. Oh my gosh, I see it. So if you can't see it, I can
What
see
does
it.
my husband look like? Can you tell me?
I can't see that, but he's just going to be so obsessed with you in the best, most healthy way. Yeah.
From your mouth to God's ears.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm so sad that I wish I could talk to you for hours. I want to talk really quick about friendship, because that's one of the pillars of my podcast and I talk so much about it. You and Krista are co-founders, creative partners, best friends, which is so rare, so special. I love having examples of best friends working together and it being obviously not perfect. I'm sure that it's not perfect. Nothing is, but seamless and beautiful and aligned, because we already see many examples of it not working. And there's always this verbiage of don't work with your friends, right? People love to say that. And sometimes I think it can be so beautiful because you know each other so well. And if you can delineate this professional versus friendship, then I think it could be so beautiful. And you guys are such a great example of that. What are a few lessons? What are a few of the biggest lessons you've learned about maintaining your friendship and then also working together?
Yeah. And Krista is my best friend. So some people are like, are you guys really best friends?
Yeah. Like, don't lie.
And we started the podcast right at the beginning of our friendship. So both grew together. But what I would say about what we've learned about friendship, oh my gosh, so much.
Yeah.
First is that it takes work. For a long time, I felt like, well, if it's not easy, then I'm out and I'll just let it fizzle regarding my friendships. And what I realized in adulthood is that those really worthwhile, intimate relationships are by design going to challenge you in ways that you need to be challenged, are going to bring up lessons to be learned, things to practice. Like, you are becoming through your relationships. And so I had to stop running away and shying away from these really hard moments. And Krista is the relationship that I got to practice this with. Early on in our relationship, it was kind of rough because I was so in my head. I was comparing myself to her. I saw her as very business savvy. So what does this new business need me? Why does this new business need me? Whereas I was bringing more of like the production, creativity support and all this stuff.
Which is the perfect balance.
You need them both. But I was so judgmental where I'm like, but I feel like I'm not driving the revenue or whatever story I told myself. So it was a little rough and there was a lot of tension and things that were unspoken. But eventually, we had therapists together, we had a coach together, and we really got to bring these things to conversation like almost on a weekly basis.
Like you went to therapy together.
Yeah.
Wow. Like marriage counseling.
Oh yeah.
Like best friend counseling.
Yeah, it was intense, but so needed. And now it's set the tone for all of my other relationships. I appreciate that with Krista, we can bring up hard things and not feel like we're breaking the other's spirit or the other person is going to be avoidant or run away. We really lean in when the other takes the time and energy to say, you know what, this is bothering me, or I would love to talk about this. And we take it seriously and we don't take it personally. This is about you as friends tackling an issue in your relationship or something that's coming up, it's not attacking the other person. So now it's just such a joy and delight when things come
You
up.
figured it out.
We're like, all right, let's talk about this.
it.
We call them clearing conversations. We talk about it in the book. And high level, this is just when you come together and you have the intention of like clearing the distortion in your relationship field. So it's, there could be things that someone said and you took it this way and that wasn't the original intention, whatever it is.
I love naming it though, because then it's like once you bring it up, you compartmentalize it and you can both, it's like a free space. This is what we're doing right now. We're going to talk about this.
Yes.
There's like rules around it. There's like little guidelines around it. I feel like that's a great tactic, honestly.
Super important. We outline it in the book. It's a great practice, and I highly recommend bringing it to every intimate relationship. And again, repetition.
Yep.
So once we started doing this, now I'm like, bring it on. I'm ready
you're comfortable
for any
doing
hard
it.
Conversation, and I'm able to not abandon myself. I'm able to stay in my body. I'm able to connect with my breath.
What do you mean by not abandon myself?
Oh my gosh. Have you ever been in a hard conversation and you go into it being like, this is what I believe, this is how I feel, this is what I'm going to say. And then you're in it and you're like,
oh yeah.
You don't say how you feel. You justify that, whatever it is. You just abandon yourself and who you truly are. And I would do that all the time just so the other person felt more comfortable.
I'm working on, I don't like conflict. I don't like to bring up things that bother me, but I do. And I'm working on it. I'm trying to rewrite the narrative in my brain that if I bring up something that bothered me, it doesn't mean that that friend is going to go away. Right. It doesn't mean that they're not going to want to be my friend anymore.
Exactly.
Like somewhere along the line, my brain learned that conflict equals danger.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to rewrite that by little moments when I'm like, no, this I care so much about this friendship that I'm bringing this up.
Yes.
Because I don't want it to bother this friendship. I don't want there to have resentment or any negative feeling because of it. If I didn't care, I wouldn't bring it up. That's also a measure for me though, because if something really bothers me and I don't bring it up at all, and I'm fine continuing on, then I don't care that. You know what I mean? Like I don't care that much. But if it's gonna bother me, it's like, no, we gotta fix this.
Yes.
And
it's nice to just set the tone in your relationships with that. Like we are best dear friends, and part of our relationship is that we are unafraid to bring things up to each other, and we will never take it personally. We will always listen. We will always like just really come from our hearts in those conversations. And I think that even just saying that, it's like, oh, okay, cool. So I don't have to hide it or stuff it down. Like this is the standard by which our relationship lives and breathes.
Again, I get so many questions about friendship, and I just think at the end of the day, people take their romantic relationships so seriously. They prioritize them so much, as you should. They pour into them so much, and then they think that their friendships are just gonna grow and have depth and vulnerability by just existing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You have to pour into it.
Like, gotta pour into it.
You have to plan the dates. You have to figure out your communication style. I learn all my best friends' love languages. Like it's the same.
Yes.
Obviously looks a little bit different, but the foundation at the end of the day, it's gonna take work.
100%.
And that's what I think people forget, I think, in terms of like 100%. Female friendship.
It takes work.
They think it's going to be easy. Oh, I wish we could talk forever.
I know. I'm so
sad.
Grateful to be here.
Thank
you
for
sad.
Having me. Okay, my last question for you is a question I've been asking everybody. You can answer this in any which way. I just don't want you to be humble. Okay?
Okay.
So the question is, if your younger self could see you today, what would make her the proudest?
I think she would be so proud that I just stopped waiting for someone to pick me, and I created something for myself and something that challenged me and opened me up to other talents that I had, which, I thought I was going to be an actress, and I was sick of waiting to be chosen. And so creating the podcast has just opened up a whole other realm of my life experience. She would be super proud of that, and she would be super proud of how I didn't settle. I didn't settle for less when it came to my relationship and really anything, like I think I learned that during my Saturn return, and she would be really, really proud of that.
I love that. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much for coming on. I loved every second of this. I can't wait to listen to it again.
I know, same. No, I just loved getting to know you, and I think you're so talented, and I don't think everyone should start a podcast. And I just truly believe this is part of your purpose too,
Oh my
to
gosh.
have a voice, you
Thank
know?
you.
It's really,
I'm
really
gonna play that back
No, it's
on bad
powerful.
days.
I feel that. I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean
Thank
it.
you. That's
You're
so
welcome.
sweet. Oh, I love this so much.
Amazing. Thank you.
I wish we had 3 hours
I know.
and a bottle of wine. Wow.
Thank you. Thanks
You're
for having
like
me.
I
You're
could,
so
I could
sweet.
hear you talk